Good morning, dear students. After a long break, we are here for starting our English class with new chapter number 6, The Life of John Smith. Dear students, I already wrote here some new words which are new for you, and that's meaning also I wrote here. Like galoshes means waterproof power shoes means mainly generally that's a type of shoes is made up of rubber. Scattered means scattered or spread. Whenever we are scattering something or spread something, that is known as spattered. After that, confess means to admit. If you are admitting anything, then that word is used for that thing. Confess. Preceptors means teachers or instructor or volunteer. Also, we can say that. After that, invariably means in every case. Whenever such that type of things you can see in every case, that type of word also you can use there. Invariably. Peculiar means strength, and lively means likely to experience. Dear students, now we will begin our chapter, The Life of John Smith. Dear students, it is a chapter about a person's personal life. John Smith, a beautiful character, is also here. Let's begin. Page number 45. The life of great men occupy a large section of our literature. The great man is certainly a wonderful thing. Dear students, we know that the life of a great man occupies a large section of our literature. Because of that, they have many types of works in their life, and the great man is certainly a wonderful thing. If we talk about great men, then very wonderful thing also we can watch in their life, because many type of incidents also that happen there. They are going to motivating us. He walks across his century and leaves the marks of his feet all over it. Means many type of that great persons are there. They work throughout the complete whole of the life, and that type of life is motivational life for us, and they are ideal for us. Writing out the dates on his gallows as he passes means as the time is passes, we have to rememorize that type of incident in our life. It is impossible to get up a revolution or a new religion or a national awakening of any sort without his turning up, putting himself at the head of it and coloring all the get recipes for himself. Means whatever work is done by him, that is very important for us also in their life. That type of work is very motivational for another person also. Because of that, they are known as the ideal person for another one. Like many type of great persons are there, like scientists, beautiful freedom fighters, national leaders. Many type of persons are there. Even after his death, he leaves a long trail of second-rate relations spattered over the front seats of 50 years of history. After their death also they live in this world. Because of that, because of their good deeds, they are rememberable for the remain persons, and all are remembering that type of person in their life. Because of that, they got a beautiful place in human's heart. Now the lives of great men are doubtless infinitely interesting. But if we talk about at this time, the great men have a doubtless infinitely interesting life. Means their life is too much interesting because of their great deeds. But at times, I must confess to a sense of reaction and an idea that the ordinary common man is entitled to have his biography written too. Means author want to tell to us like that we also have to make a life such type of beautiful. Because of that, we are common person, but we also have a chance to considering that type of chance. It is illustrate this view that I write the life of John Smith, a man neither good nor great. Means narrator explains that he want to write about a person's life biography. John Smith, he is not a good nor a great person, but just the usual everyday human like you and me and the rest of us. John Smith is a simple person only, on a common person. He is like us also. From his earliest childhood, John Smith was marked out from his comrades by nothing, because he didn't do anything. So he is a common person only. The marvelous perversity of the boy did not astonish his preceptors. Means person didn't want to talk with him because his behavior and many type of things are uncommon to another one. So he is known as preceptors. Books were not a passion for his from his youth. He didn't like books. Neither did any old man put his hand in Smith's head and say, mark his words, this boy would someday become a man. Because they know that he is an uncommon person and they don't want to change any type of things in this one, nor it was it his fathers want to gaze on him with a feeling amounting almost to a by no means. All his father did was to wonder whenever Smith was a downfall because he couldn't help it or because he thought it is smart. Because everyone know that John Smith was a smart person and they didn't want to tell any type of suggestion to him because of that. He already done that type of work without any instruction. In other words, he was just like you and me and the rest of us. After that, narrator think like that he is the only common person, then how can he do like that the uncommon activities in his life? In those athletic sports which were the ornament of the youth of his reign, Smith did not, as a great man do, excel his fellows. On that time we know that in the youthful age or in a childhood time we know that we like to play or take an interest in any sports, but on that time Smith didn't have any type of interest in sports. He couldn't ride worth the dawn, he couldn't skate worth the dawn, he couldn't swim worth the dawn, he couldn't shoot worth the dawn, he couldn't do anything worth the dawn. Means he didn't like any type of activities. He was afraid of dogs. Means he is afraid from dogs also. When he watch any type of dog, then also he want to go from that side also. So we can say that he couldn't shoot a bomb, he couldn't do anything else. He was just like as you and me, and nor did the bold cast of the boy's mind offset the physical defects and variably does in his biographies. On the contrary, he was afraid of his father, he was afraid of his school teacher, he was afraid of his dogs, he was afraid of guns, he was afraid of lightning, he was afraid of hell, he was afraid of girls. One side narrator explains about whatever he didn't like, and one side narrator explains about that thing, whichever thing is like that, whichever make him afraid. Afraid means have to dare about or taking tension or something like that. That type of intention also when he is watching, like when he watch dogs or something like that, then he start to run from that side. And when class teacher or teacher is being there, then also he is sitting silently. And when girls sit in nearby him, then also he get uncomfortable. So we can say that he was afraid of girls, dogs, guns and school teacher. In the boy's choice of a profession, there was not seen that keen longing for a life work that we find in the celebrities. He didn't want to be a lawyer. Now about his future expectation. He didn't want to be a lawyer, and because you have to know law. If you want to become a lawyer, then you have to know about the law and you have to read the law, constitution, many things you have to read, but he didn't like study. We already explained it first. He didn't want to be a doctor because you have to know about medicine. If you want to be a doctor, then also you have to study. Then also you have to explain that type of education about the medicine or something like that. But he didn't like to study, so how can he become a doctor? He didn't want to be a businessman because you have to know business, and he didn't want to be because he didn't like to work hard. He didn't want to be a school teacher because he had seen too many of them. Because he know that already school teacher always teasing him or something, making problems for him. So he didn't like to want to be a school teacher. As far as he had any choice, it lay between being Robinson Crusoe and being the Prince of Wales. His father refused him both and put him into a dry goods establishment. Whenever anyone asks for him what you want to be, then he say like that, Robinson Crusoe or Prince of Wales. And his father said like that, you needn't be like that. You have to work as a dry goods establishment in company corporation. Such was the childhood of a Smith. It is about the childhood of the Smith. And after the childhood of the Smith, at its close there was nothing in his outward appearance to mark the man of genius. The casual observer could have seen no genius concealed behind the wide face, the massive mouth, the long slanting forehead, and the tall ear that swept the close cropped head. It's about the personality, about the casual observer. Whenever he watches and then a wide face. Wide face means big face is there. Massive mouth means attractive mouth is there. Long slanting forehead. Forehead means that type of, this part is known as forehead. It is also big one. And the tall ear size also long one. And there is a select about the close cropped, that type of structure already mentioned here also. This one is John Smith, and it is the character sketch of the John Smith. And about the body figure is mentioned here. Certainly he couldn't. There wasn't any conceit there. It was shortly after his start in business life that Smith was stricken with the first of these distressing attacks, or which he afterwards became subject. It seized him late one night as he was returning home from a delightful evening of a song and praise with a few old school chums. Means with a few old school friends he came from on that time, and its symptoms were peculiar, having the sidewalk and dancing a street and selecting his own. Peculiar means already we know that on that time he was a strength or company of his school friends. There was a strong desire not to drink water throughout the entire headache, which showed that the thing of evidently from hydrophobia. If you didn't drink water on the time, then you also have to suffer from hydrophobia, and that type of condition is being there, because whenever you have hydrophobia, then you didn't uh, go nearby the water also, because you have to phobia on that time from water. If you watch water from anywhere or any place, then also you couldn't go there nearby that. It is known as a hydrophobia. Hydrophobia is a disease. Because of this disease you couldn't go nearby the water. From this time on, these painful attacks became chronic with Smith. They were liable to come on at any time, but especially on Saturday nights, on the first of the month and the Thanksgiving Day. He always had a very severe attack of hydrophobia on Christmas Eve, and after election it was very fearful. Because of that, on that day Christmas Eve is also there, because Christmas Eve is known as the Christmas evening. On that night of the Christmas night, that type of evening is known as the Christmas Eve. There was one incident in Smith's career which he did perhaps to share his regret. He had scarcely reached manhood when he met the most beautiful girl in the world. She was different from all other women, because he know that I already mentioned here he was afraid of girls, but when he watched a beautiful girl, then his intention is going to be changed. She had a deeper nature than other people. Smith realized it at once, and Smith is start to think about her. She could feel and understand things that ordinary people couldn't. She could understand him. She had a great sense of humor and agnostic appreciation of joke. He told her the six that he knew one night, and she thought them great. Her mere presence of the Smith feel extremely happy and excited. Now Smith start to talk with her, because he know that she was different from another ladies, another women, and he started to talk with her because he know that he couldn't find that type of girl. Smith became filled with the idea that he would like to have her always near him. He suggested an arrangement to her by which she could come and live in the same house with him and take personal charge of his clothes and his meals. She was to receive in return her board and washing, about 75 cents a week in ready money, and Smith was to be her slave. Means now Smith started to work as her slave. Slave means as her servant. Start to work Smith, because he know that that type of girls he couldn't find in her whole life, and he want to spend a time with her. After Smith had been this women's slave for some time, baby fingers stole across his life, then another set of them, and then more and more till the house was full fun of them. The house women's mother began to steal across his life too, and every time she came, Smith had hydrophobia frightfully, strangely enough. There was no little predator that was taken from his life and become a sudden hallowed memory on him. Oh no, the little Smiths were not the kind of predator. The whole nine grew up into tall. Whole nine means all the 9 students, all the 9 childs now become as a young, and the boys with the massive mouths and the great sweeping ears like their fathers, and no talent for everything. They didn't have any type of talent, so always they are nearby their father, like Smith only. And the life of Smith never seemed to bring him to any of those great turning points that occurred in the lives of the great. Through the passing years, but some chance of the fortune, he was moved up in his dry goods establishment from the ribbon counter to the collar counter, from the collar counter to gents painting counter, from the gents painting counter to gents setting, and then he grew aged and inefficient there, moved down And again, from the when he grew quite old, they dismissed him, and he got a boy with 4-inch mouth and sandy colored hair, who he did all Smith could be her half the money. That was John Smith's mercantile career. It won't be stand comparison with Mr. Gaston, but not like, unlike, or your own. Means finally we know that the Smith is a character. It is a now fully in stage. Because of that, he started to live with a girl, and now he had to start his life to another era. Smith lived for 5 years. After this, his sons kept him. They didn't want to buy. They had to. In his old age, the brightness of his mind and his fund of anecdote were not the delight. Anecdote means a sort of amusing, interesting story is now going to be finished. And he told 7 stories and he knew 6 jokes. The stories were long things and all about himself, and the jokes were about a commercial traveler and a Methodist minister, but nobody dropped in to see him. Anyway, so it didn't matter. At 65, Smith was taken ill and receiving proper treatment. He died. At the age of 65, Smith went out from this life, from this earth, and there was a tombstone put up over him with a hand pointing north and northeast. But I doubt if he ever got there. He was too like us. It's a beautiful art by written by the Stephen Leacock. In this story, he want to express about a person's life. It was a common person only, like you and like me. That type of life is also incidentally happen. He have a hydrophobia, and he afraid from girls, afraid from teachers, afraid from many type of things. And he didn't don't want to be doctor, he don't want to be businessman, he don't want to be lawyer, because he know that if he want to be just like that type of person, then he have to work hard, he have to study. But he didn't want to do that type of